You've tried everything, haven't you? You've fought battles no one else could see. You've carried burdens no one else ever noticed. You've shed tears that no one was there to wipe away. And maybe right now you're weary. You've done all that was within your reach. Yet it still feels like life hasn't shifted the way you hoped it would. But here's the truth. You have to hold on a little longer. You don't need to solve every mystery. You don't need to repair every shattered piece. You don't need to climb every hill alone. Sometimes your only assignment is to breathe and let God handle the rest. When you've done everything you can, when your energy fades and your plans unravel, that is where God begins. God never asked for perfection. He asked for surrender. He never required control. He desired trust. You see, often we're too busy trying to be our own rescuer, attempting to direct every detail, forcing life to move how we think it should. But God is saying, be still. Let me take care of what you can't. Because the truth is, the moment you stop pushing in your own strength and start resting in His, that's when miracles start unfolding. There are seasons in life where you must simply step back and say, God, I've done what I can. Now I will give it to you. That act of surrender isn't weakness, it's power. Because when you release control, you create space for God to move. When you stop striving, God starts shaping. When you stop controlling, God starts creating. He moves most powerfully in the stillness where your effort ends and His will begins. You see, faith isn't about doing more, it's about believing deeper. Faith says, even when I can't see it, I trust that God is working. It's the confidence that while you're waiting, God is weaving. It's the awareness that when life seems paused, God is preparing. And when everything feels uncertain, He remains sovereign. That's the beauty of letting God take over. He doesn't need you to perform. He needs you to believe there's a divine reason for the waiting. There's a reason your plans didn't unfold the way you imagined. God often uses frustration to build dependence. He allows disappointment to deepen your faith. Because when you reach the end of yourself, you finally reach the beginning of Him. That's when your story begins to shift. That's when you understand that God doesn't want your exhaustion, He wants your trust. Some of you are standing in the middle of uncertainty right now. You don't know which way to turn or what tomorrow will bring. But listen carefully. Your job is not to have all the answers. Your job is to stay faithful right where you are and let God reveal what's next. You might not understand what He's doing, but trust that He's doing something. The silence of God is not His absence. The delay of God is not His denial. It's often the ground of preparation for the blessing that's on its way. Think of a seed buried deep in the soil. It seems like nothing is happening. It's dark, it's quiet, it's hidden. But beneath that ground, something is breaking open, something is growing. Something is being made ready for the light. That's your life at this very moment. You might feel buried, but you're really being planted. You might feel overlooked, but you're being prepared. You might feel trapped, but you're being transformed. Let God move beneath the surface where human eyes can't reach. Stop hurrying what God is nurturing. Stop trying to manage what God is molding. Life was never meant to be a constant struggle to prove your value. You are already seen. You are already loved. You are already protected. God knows exactly what He's doing, even when you can't make sense of it. Sometimes the strongest faith isn't found in running, it's in resting. It's whispering, I'll stay right here, God, and let you finish what you began. Because here's the truth. God doesn't bless the anxious heart. He blesses the surrendered one. He doesn't move through noise. He moves through stillness. And when you finally stop wrestling against His timing, you begin to walk in His favor. There's release in letting go. There's peace in trusting. There's power in silence. And there's triumph in surrender. God never intended for you to carry the weight of the world. That burden was never yours. You were created to breathe, to believe, to exist in faith, and to let God handle the rest. When you live that way, you start to see how beautifully He operates in the unseen. Blessings that once felt impossible begin to manifest. Doors that were sealed start to open. The peace that left your heart starts to return. And maybe, just maybe, that's what God's been waiting for all along. Not your effort, but your surrender. He's been waiting for you to step aside so He can step in. Waiting for you to stop fixing what only He can restore. You've been trying to build a future on your own strength, but God is saying, rest, I'll complete what I started. Once you truly grasp that, everything shifts. You stop worrying about what you can't control. You stop fearing what you don't understand. You begin to live with quiet assurance, knowing God is the author of your story. You start realizing that every closed door, every delay, every detour wasn't rejection, it was redirection. God doesn't waste moments, and He doesn't waste pain. Everything you've faced has been a chapter in a divine plan still unfolding. Maybe you've lost something that once meant the world. Maybe your plans fell apart. Maybe you're staring at an empty space where your dream used to live. But don't confuse emptiness with the end. God often clears your hands so He can fill them with something greater. When you cling too tightly to what's fading, you block what's coming. Letting go isn't defeat, it's trust that what's next is far better than what's gone. Sometimes real strength isn't found in fighting longer, but in surrendering sooner. The moment you whisper, God, I can't, but I know you can, you invite heaven's power into your situation. You allow divine order to enter human chaos. You make room for God to move in ways you never could. There's a peace that arrives when you finally stop running. There's a calm that fills your heart when you say, God, I give this to you. And when you live in that posture of surrender, you start to see life through a new lens. You stop chasing blessings because they begin to chase you. You stop pleading for direction because God starts guiding every step you take. You stop living in anxiety because peace becomes your default. It's not about doing less, it's about trusting deeper. It's not about quitting, it's about releasing. When you choose to live by faith, you come into alignment with God's rhythm instead of your own. You begin to move at His divine pace, not your hurried one. And His timing is flawless. He's never too soon, never too late. He moves precisely when you need Him most. You've tried to unlock doors God intentionally closed. You've tried to hold on to people who were meant to walk away. You've tried to force success through your own effort. But God doesn't move through striving, He moves through surrender. When you finally whisper, God, I'm done forcing it, that's when peace replaces pressure. That's when blessings begin to flow in ways beyond logic. It's not your responsibility to figure out how everything will unfold. Your role is simply to trust that it will. God's plans are never random. They're intentional, precise, and full of love. Every silent season carries purpose. Every prayer that seems unanswered holds wisdom. Every delay conceals divine preparation. God is never inactive. He's always at work. Even when you can't perceive it, that's the reason you can rest today. You can exhale again. You can stop striving to fix what's already secure in His hands. You can release what drains you and allow God to fill you. You can believe that the one who hung the stars has already authored your story. You can live freely knowing that being when rooted in faith is enough. Don't let fear convince you that you're failing. Don't let impatience steal your peace. You are right where you're meant to be. And as you stand in this moment, God is aligning everything in your favor. You might not see it yet, but soon you'll look back and realize that what felt like waiting was actually working. So keep showing up, keep breathing, keep walking by faith. You don't need to control the outcome, just trust the process. Let your heart rest in the truth that God's hands are stronger than your worry, His wisdom deeper than your logic, and His timing better than your plans. Even when you feel unseen, God sees you. Even when you feel forgotten, He remembers you. Even when you feel powerless, He is still fighting for you. Don't measure your worth by what you do, measure it by who holds you. You belong to the one who never sleeps, never fails, and never leaves. So stop overanalyzing, stop doubting, stop resisting what's already ordained. Rest in the truth that the universe itself bends to God's command, and your life flows within that divine order. The waves may roar, but they still obey His voice. The storms may rage, but they quiet when He speaks. And that same power guiding the seas is directing your path right now. One day you'll look back on this season and thank God you didn't give up. You'll see that while you were still, He was working. While you were waiting, He was aligning. While you were silent, He was speaking for you. Everything that looked delayed was actually designed to grow you. You were never called to live in constant striving. You were created to live in sacred surrender. You were created to live in surrender, because the one who truly yields is never defeated. When you trust God enough to release your grip, you align yourself with something far greater than human strength. You align yourself with divine intention. That's where real peace resides. That's where freedom begins to bloom. So live, just live. Wake up each morning breathing in gratitude. Walk through your day knowing you don't have to have every answer. When trouble appears, whisper to your soul, God's got this. When fear tries to invade, remind yourself, I'm not alone. When plans collapse, say, maybe God is building something better, because He always is. There will be moments when life corners you, and all you can do is breathe. You've prayed, you've battled, you've wept, and still nothing seems to change. In those moments, God isn't punishing you, He's positioning you. The stillness around you isn't emptiness, it's holy ground. It's the sacred space where God teaches you to let go of what was and trust what He's forming within you. You see, God doesn't just want you to endure life. He wants you to trust Him enough to let Him live through you. That's the very heart of faith, to rise each day and say, God, I may not understand, but I trust You completely. When you learn to loosen your control, something miraculous begins to unfold. Fear starts losing its power. Anxiety begins to fade. The storms that once terrified you can no longer disturb your peace. Why? Because you've stopped living by reaction and started living by faith. Faith that believes God sees what you can't. Faith that declares, even if the path is uncertain, I will walk it because God goes before me. That kind of faith doesn't collapse when the winds howl. It stands firm because it's anchored in the eternal. There's a reason God calls us to trust Him with all our hearts and not lean on our limited understanding. Our vision sees only the surface, but God sees the foundation. We see the pain, but He sees the purpose. You might think your delay is a detour, but to God it's preparation. You might think your disappointment means defeat, but to Him it's development. You might think you're stuck, but He says you're being shaped. The truth is, God often takes away your strength so He can reveal His own. He allows doors to close to show you your destiny doesn't depend on people. He lets certain things fail so He can hand you what was truly designed for you. You are not forgotten. You are being refined. You are not being punished. You are being purified. Sometimes God slows your steps, not to hold you back, but to shield you from what's ahead. Stop fighting the current of His plan. Stop resisting the quiet seasons where progress seems invisible. It's in those silent stretches that God plants deep wisdom within your spirit. You may not hear His voice, but He's speaking. You may not feel His presence, but He's shaping something in you that can only grow in the dark. Trust that. Welcome. Don't rush it. Because the moment you release control is the moment peace begins to flow through your heart like a river. When you say, God, I'll stay right here and let you take care of the rest, you're not giving up, you're giving in to divine power. You're declaring, I don't need to know what's next because I trust the one who holds it. That kind of surrender doesn't weaken you, it makes you unshakable. It transforms you from a fighter into a vessel of stillness, anchored in faith that cannot be moved. Too often we believe we must always be in motion to see progress. We think that if we're not constantly striving, pushing, or achieving, we're somehow falling behind. But the truth is, rest is not wasted, it's worship. Stillness is not giving in to defeat, it's yielding to divine timing. When you rest in God's pace, you step out of fear and into flow. You stop demanding to know when it will happen and start trusting that it already is. Because even when the plan isn't visible, the planner is still working. Think of the stars that glow in silence. Think of the ocean that moves in rhythm without resistance. Think of the sunrise that arrives each morning without noise or permission. That's how God moves, quietly, consistently, perfectly. You don't need to see His hand to know He's at work. Faith doesn't require evidence. It relies on promise. And the promise is this: when you trust Him fully, He will lead your steps. There is a peace this world can't imitate. It doesn't come from control, but from confidence that God already has it handled. When you live in that truth, you stop grasping for outcomes and begin flowing with divine order. You start realizing that life isn't about how fast you run, but how deeply you trust. It's not about what you can fix, but what you can release. The strongest souls aren't those who fight endlessly. They are those who rest faithfully. And that's what it truly means to just exist. It's not passivity, it's awareness. Awareness that your worth isn't found in your work, but in your being. Awareness that your value isn't tied to your achievements, but to your alignment with God. Awareness that when you slow down and breathe, you create space for God to reveal blessings He's been shaping behind the curtain. So many hearts are weary because they resist what God is trying to shift. They cling to people who were meant to go. They chase after plans that no longer carry His breath. They hold on to dreams that have expired. And still, God whispers with love, let it go. Let me take care of this. Yet we fight on, mistaking surrender for loss. But the truth is, surrender is liberation. The moment you release what's not meant for you, God starts releasing what is. You may feel like your life is standing still right now, but stillness isn't stagnation, it's divine setup. God is aligning opportunities, hearts, and timing in ways unseen. While you're waiting, He's weaving. While you're resting, He's rebuilding. While you're existing in faith, He's enlarging your capacity to receive. Every pause holds purpose. Every delay carries direction. Every silent season is a sacred classroom where God teaches you how to trust without seeing proof. It's easy to believe when everything feels right, but true faith is born in the wilderness. Real faith matures in uncertainty. Real faith stands firm when nothing adds up and still declares, God, I won't let fear steal my peace. Because faith isn't about what you can see, it's about who you trust. It's the belief that even when the night stretches long, morning will still come. Even when the valley feels endless, there's a mountaintop waiting. You might be walking through a storm right now, but don't confuse it with abandonment. Sometimes God quiets the storm, but other times He lets the storm quiet you. He allows the shaking so that everything not rooted in Him can fall away. And when it does, you'll see that what remains your faith, your peace, your surrender is unshakable. That's the kind of soul that can live in faith and let God take the lead. Do you know why God calls you to rest in Him? Because He knows your mind can't solve what only His power can heal. You can plan, you can prepare, you can give your best, but there's a point where your strength stops and His begins, and that's where miracles unfold. God steps in when human effort runs out. He brings order to chaos. He brings calm to impossibility. He brings clarity to confusion and beauty to brokenness. But that happens only when you step back and let Him move. The human heart craves control, yet control is an illusion. You never truly had control. You only had choices. And the most powerful choice you'll ever make is to trust that God's choices are greater than yours, because He sees the entire picture. You see a moment, He sees eternity. You see loss, He sees transformation. You see delay, He sees divine timing. If you could glimpse what God sees, you'd stop worrying and start resting. You'd stop prying open doors that are closed for your protection. You'd stop asking why and start whispering thank you. You'd stop panicking over the unknown and start trusting the one who already knows. You'd finally realize your life isn't falling apart, it's falling into divine alignment. When you simply exist, you allow God to expand your awareness of what truly matters. You begin to notice the beauty and simplicity, the serenity and stillness, the strength and surrender. You stop living for applause and start living for purpose. You stop chasing recognition and start chasing truth, because the closer you draw to God, the less you crave validation from anyone else. There's liberation in realizing you were never designed to carry the universe. You were made to carry faith. God's plan is not fragile. It doesn't depend on your perfection. It depends on your trust. So even when you fail, even when you stumble, even when you fall short, don't shrink back in shame. God can work with brokenness. He can rebuild from ashes. The only thing He can't work with is resistance. So stop resisting. Stop doubting the very hand that shaped you. Stop questioning the process just because it's taking time. God's timing isn't delayed, it's deliberate, it's layered. It's preparing your heart for the magnitude of what's coming. You're not waiting for God to move, He's waiting for you to trust. God is waiting for you to let go, because the moment you do, the floodgates of grace begin to open. Your peace will no longer hinge on results. Your joy will no longer be tied to circumstances. Your confidence will no longer rest on control. You'll stand still and know that God is enough. You'll understand that sometimes the greatest act of faith is simply to exist and allow Him to finish what you cannot. Every soul reaches a moment when the world's noise becomes unbearable. You try to please everyone, fix everything, prove your worth, and yet inside a still voice whispers, stop. That voice isn't weakness, it's God calling you back to peace. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop striving to be everything and simply be His creation. Just exist. Let Him complete what you can't. Let Him handle the rest. When you reach that sacred space where you no longer chase approval or control outcomes, you finally understand what it means to live by faith. You stop chasing and start trusting. You stop worrying about how things will turn out and begin resting in the truth that they already are. God doesn't need your panic. He desires your peace. He doesn't need your control. He seeks your surrender. He isn't impressed by how hard you push, but by how deeply you trust. Many people mistake movement for progress. They think constant motion equals growth. But sometimes running only takes you further from what's meant for you. Standing still in faith can move you farther than 1,000 frantic steps. Because while the world rushes ahead, God works in rhythm. His timing is deliberate. His order is flawless. And when your life aligns with His pace, what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. So many hearts are weary because they've tried to live as if everything depends on them. But life was never meant to rest on your shoulders. You were created to rely, to lean, to trust. The same God who scattered the stars and told the sea where to stop has already written your story with perfect precision. The storms that once terrified you are the same storms He used to strengthen you. The pain that once broke you became the tool that built your resilience. You don't need to understand everything to trust that God understands it all. You don't need to see the full path to know He's leading you somewhere good. Every unanswered prayer, every delay, every season of silence carries purpose. Sometimes God withholds answers not to punish you but to prepare you. He delays not to deny you but to develop you. He pauses not because He's forgotten you, but because He's forming something greater in you. When you start to see life through that lens, panic gives way to peace. You stop measuring progress by what's visible and start measuring it by how much you've surrendered. You begin to walk through chaos with calm, knowing who controls the outcome. You realize peace doesn't come from control, it comes from trust. And that's when life begins to feel lighter, when your soul finally rests in truth. There's a divine story written across eternity, one of perfect order, hidden miracles, and unseen movements of grace. Everything in creation moves by God's command. The winds listen, the stars shine on cue, the earth spins in harmony, and so will your life when you trust the one who holds it all together. Only humanity resists, believing we can improve our lives by forcing results. But true power isn't found in resistance, it's found in release. You discover real freedom the moment you stop trying to outthink God and start flowing with His divine rhythm. Isn't it true that once you stop striving, everything begins to fall into place? You stop chasing what's fading, and what's meant for you naturally finds its way to you. You stop mourning who walked away, and the right people start showing up effortlessly. You stop trying to control timing, and suddenly everything unfolds in perfect order. Because when your heart is aligned with God, you don't pursue blessings, they're drawn to the peace within you. Let that truth settle deeply in your spirit. You are not behind, not forgotten, not late. You are exactly where you need to be in this chapter of your journey. You may not grasp the why of this season now, but one day you'll look back and see that every delay was divine, every closed door was protection, and every pause was providence disguised as stillness. God isn't just working around you, He's working within you. He's shaping patience so you can sustain the blessings. He's refining your character so success won't crush you when it comes. He's deepening your faith so when opportunity arrives, you'll walk in with humility, not pride. Everything God allows carries intention, even the waiting. And while you wait, simply exist. Don't rush the process. Don't force outcomes. Don't measure your path against anyone else's. Comparison steals peace, because it blinds you to your own progress. God is crafting your story differently, not because He loves you less, but because your calling requires a unique kind of preparation. What you call delay, He calls design. What you call stuck, He calls rooted. You're being grounded for greatness. Sometimes God hides you to heal you. He separates you to strengthen you. He silences distractions so you can hear His whisper clearly. Isolation isn't punishment, it's protection. Because not everyone can walk with you into the place He's leading you. Not everyone is equipped to handle the weight of your purpose. So He keeps you apart, not to break you, but to build you in peace. There's rest in knowing you don't have to compete for what God has already reserved for you. What's meant for you will never miss you. No one can steal what God has written in your destiny. You don't need to fight for attention. You need to trust divine timing. You don't need to prove your worth. You need to remain faithful. Because when the moment is right, God Himself will deliver what's yours directly to your door. It's easy to forget that rest is also faith in action. When you rest, you're declaring, God, I trust that you are working even while I'm still. Rest isn't laziness, it's alignment. It's the heart saying, I don't have to carry this anymore because God already does. The world glorifies constant motion, but heaven rewards quiet trust. You don't have to do it all, you just have to let God do what only He can. Look at the rivers, they don't struggle to reach the ocean. They simply flow. They simply move along the path designed for them. And that's what true faith looks like. It's not about forcing the current, it's about following it. It's knowing that every twist and turn still leads you toward destiny. When you start flowing with God instead of resisting Him, fear begins to fade and peace takes its place. Because even when the river curves, it never forgets where it's heading. Some of you are walking through a season of uncertainty right now. You don't know what's coming next, and that unknown feeling is overwhelming. But that's exactly where faith thrives, right in the middle of uncertainty. God doesn't require you to understand every detail. He asks you to trust the direction. If you could see every step ahead, you'd stop depending on Him. That's why He gives you just enough light for the next step, not the whole journey. He's teaching your spirit to lean on Him, not to predict outcomes. There's something sacred about saying, I don't know, but I trust. It holds peace, humility, and courage all at once. It tells the world that your anchor is deeper than your understanding. Because trusting God isn't blindness, it's confidence in His character. You might not know His full plan, but you know His nature, and His nature is steadfast. His nature is kind. His nature never fails. So when a new day dawns, don't carry yesterday's burdens into it. Let them go, every doubt that whispers you're not enough, every fear that says it won't work, every regret that insists you've missed your moment. Release it all. You weren't designed to live in fear. You were created to walk by faith. Faith doesn't remove the storms. It teaches you to stand still within them, knowing that God commands the winds and the waves. There's a quiet power in those who walk closely with Him. They don't panic when seasons shift. They don't crumble when plans fall apart. They don't lose joy when people doubt them, because their stability isn't rooted in outcomes, it's anchored in trust. And when trust is your foundation, no storm can shake you. Sometimes faith will call you to stand alone. Others may not understand why you've stopped striving, why you've chosen calm over chaos, or why you seem peaceful when everything looks uncertain. But that's because they can't see what you see. They don't know the still confidence that comes from knowing God is working behind the curtain. You're not being passive, you're being powerful in your stillness. Because while others are chasing control, you're walking in surrender. And that's where divine favor flows freely. The truth is, surrender isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It belongs to those who've learned that control is a weight the soul can't carry. When you release it, you're not losing strength, you're placing it in stronger hands. You're saying, God, I don't need to hold this anymore. You handle it better. And He always does. So keep living in peace. Keep breathing faith into every moment. Keep trusting even when the picture doesn't make sense. Because God isn't a distant watcher. He's the invisible architect shaping every detail of your story. He's constructing something far greater than what you imagined. The pauses, the detours, the disappointments, they're all tools in His hands, sculpting your soul for the glory that's ahead. One day, you'll look back and realize that every unanswered prayer was divine protection, every closed door was hidden mercy, and every silent season was sacred preparation. You'll see that while you were simply existing, God was composing a masterpiece behind the scenes. And in that revelation, you'll finally understand why you had to wait, why you had to release, and why you had to trust without evidence. Because the beauty of faith isn't found in what you receive, it's found in who you become while you're waiting for God to move. So stay calm in heart and strong in spirit. Let the world race ahead, but let your soul rest. You don't need the map when you trust the one who designed it. Just exist. Let God complete what you can't. And in that stillness, you'll find everything striving could never deliver peace beyond logic, strength beyond measure, and blessings beyond expectation. When you've done all you can, when your energy is gone and your soul feels heavy, stand still and let God take control. There comes a moment when effort must yield to His eternal hand. You've carried burdens that were never yours to bear. You've fought storms that only God could calm. Now it's time to release, to lay down every fear, every wound, every anxious thought before the one who rules heaven and earth. Surrender doesn't strip you of power, it restores it. Because true strength begins where human effort ends. So tonight, let your soul breathe again. Stop trying to repair everything. Stop trying to prove your value. You weren't created to perform, you were created to exist under the covering of divine care. When you simply exist in faith, you make space for His power to flow. You'll witness doors opening that you never touched, opportunities unfolding that you never orchestrated, and peace resting upon you that no human hand could offer. God isn't asking you to do the impossible. He's asking you to trust Him with it. He's not calling you to see the entire journey, only to take one faithful step at a time. Some of you have spent years trying to make life make sense, worrying yourself weary over what's next. But hear this deep in your spirit: you are not forgotten and you are not behind. God has not missed a single prayer, tear, or sleepless night. Every moment of endurance, every ache, every whisper of hope has been noticed. Nothing escapes His eye. When you felt lost, He was leading you. When you felt abandoned, He was preparing you. When you felt shattered, He was forming something stronger inside you. Don't let the weight of this world convince you that you've failed. You were never meant to carry the world. You were called to walk with God. Existence itself is not weakness, it's trust. Every breath, every heartbeat, every sunrise is God's quiet reminder that He's still in control. So instead of rushing, rest in Him. Instead of forcing, flow with His timing. The same power that positions the stars is the power guiding your steps. If He can paint the heavens with light, He can rewrite your story with grace. And now, beloved, release your fear. Release your need to control how every detail will unfold, and trust that the unseen plan is already in motion. Let your faith rise higher than your fears, and your peace outweigh your anxiety. Let your soul rest securely in the truth that God is working even when you can't perceive it. You may not comprehend how He will bring it together, but you will witness the outcome. The hand of God often moves in silence, but it never moves without purpose. He is arranging people, refining moments, and creating divine connections on your behalf. All He asks is that you remain still enough to notice His movement when it happens. The time has come to live not by panic, but by peace, not by striving, but by surrender, not by fear, but by faith. You don't need to chase what God has already assigned to you. You don't need to fight for what's already destined to find you. All that's required is for you to stay faithful, patient, and rooted in His presence. The greatest triumphs are not born from noise, but from quiet confidence in the invisible power of God. So let your heart rise again. Let your spirit awaken with renewed strength. You are not walking this path alone. The same God who guided you through the storms of yesterday will carry you into the promise of tomorrow. Stop doubting your value and start recognizing His nearness. You are enough because He is more than enough. You are safe because He holds you steady. You are victorious because He never fails. Let this truth echo through every corner of your being. You were never designed to figure everything out. You were created to walk beside the one who already has. Just exist. Let God handle the rest. Trust Him when the night feels endless. Believe Him when the path seems empty. And thank Him before the answer arrives. Because when your faith is anchored in God, your future is never uncertain. So rise from your doubt. Lift your eyes from despair. Stand tall beneath the light of His promises. Live this life not by worry, but by wonder, not by fear, but by faith. The God who formed you has not finished with you. He is still working, still guiding, still writing chapters that will display His glory through your life. So breathe deeply, walk gently, and live boldly, knowing that everything you have surrendered will be touched by His timing. Exist in peace, exist in faith, exist in surrender. And watch how God transforms your stillness into strength, your silence into wisdom, and your waiting into victory. Just exist and let God do the rest. There are seasons in life when everything grows still, when the wind of progress seems to pause, when your prayers echo into silence, and you begin to wonder if God has forgotten your name. But hear me today, stand your ground and lift your eyes, because the favor of God is gaining momentum in the unseen realm. It's rising like a powerful surge beneath the surface, and when it arrives, it won't come as a drizzle or a whisper. It will rush in like a tidal wave that overturns every obstacle, sweeps away every delay, and floods your life with divine breakthrough. God's favor is about to collide with your reality, and nothing on this earth can stop what He is preparing to release. People often think favor is soft, something that gently knocks at your door, but divine favor doesn't knock, it breaks through. It overtakes, it arrives suddenly, it shows up when others have written you off, and it lifts you when life tries to bury you. It changes the entire atmosphere of your existence until those who once pitied you must witness your rising. When God's favor hits, it's not quiet, it's commanding. It speaks the language of miracles. It declares, "This one belongs to me." Some of you have endured barren years, silent seasons where nothing seemed to grow, where effort felt wasted, and every door stayed shut. But those seasons were not punishment, they were preparation. God was laying the groundwork for something that would not only bless you, but redefine you. Every rejection, every delay, every lonely night was heaven clearing the path so His wave of favor could move without resistance. You weren't being denied, you were being positioned. When a tsunami forms, it begins far out in the deep. You can't see it from the shore. The waters look calm, even lifeless, but beneath, the ocean floor is shifting and strength is building. That's exactly what God is doing in your life right now. Behind the curtain, He's aligning people, moving resources, and arranging divine connections. You may not see it yet, but power is gathering. The silence isn't absence, it's construction. God is creating something vast and unstoppable, and when it reaches you, it will wash away every trace of struggle and establish you in victory. The truth is, favor doesn't visit the comfortable, it visits the faithful. It doesn't come to those chasing attention, but to those who trust God in the quiet. You've kept going when others quit. You've prayed without applause. You've planted seeds in barren soil, and God saw every act of faith, every tear, every moment you stood when you wanted to fall. Now He says, enough waiting, my favor is moving. Acceleration has begun. What took others years will take you months.